Hello, we're continuing to read from one of the best novels ever written, one of my favorite novels, George Orwell's 1984. It's for our time, and so that's why I wanted to go back and do some videos on it and read from it. Um, and I know you say, like, why did you just reading to us? These videos seem boring, they seem stale, they seem. No, we need to understand the details. I want to expose people to as much literature, as much information as I can. And that's it. And when do we get to see a black man reading? We know that black men read, but when do we get to see it? Winston glanced across the hall. In the corresponding cubicle on the other side of a small, precise-looking, dark-chimed man named Tillotson was working steadily away, with a folded newspaper on his knee and his mouth very close to the mouthpiece of the speak wire. He had the air of trying to keep what he was saying a secret between himself and the telescreen. He looked up and his spectacles darted a hostile flash in Winston's direction. Winston hardly knew Tillotson and had no idea what work he was employed on. People in the records department did not rarely talk about their jobs. In the long windowless hall, with its double row of cubicles and its endless rustle of papers and hum of voices murmuring into speakwrites, there were quite a dozen people whom Winston did not even know by name, though he daily saw them hurrying to and fro in the corridors or gesticulating in the 2 minutes hate. He knew that in the cubicle next to him, the little woman with sandy hair toiled day in, day out, simply at tracking down and deleting from the press the names of people who had been vaporized and were therefore considered never to have existed. There was a certain fitness in this, since her own husband had been vaporized a couple of years earlier. And a few cubicles away, a mild, ineffectual, dreamy creature named Ampleforth, with very hairy ears and a surprising talent for juggling with rhymes and meters, was engaged in producing garbled versions, definitive texts, they were called, of poems which had become ideologically offensive, but which for one reason or another were to be retained in the anthologies. And this hall, with its 50 workers or thereabouts, was only one subsection, a single cell, as it were, in the huge complexity of the records department. Beyond, above, below were other swarms of workers engaged in an unimaginable multitude of jobs. There were the huge print shops with their sub-editors, their typography experts, and their elaborately equipped studios for the faking of photographs. There was the teleprograms, section with its engineers, its producers, and its team of actors specially chosen for their skill in imitating voices. There were the armies of reference clerks whose job was simply to draw up lists of books and periodicals which were due for recall. There were the vast repositories where the corrected documents were stored, and hidden furnaces where the original copies were destroyed. And somehow or other, quite anonymous, there were the directing brains who coordinated the whole effort and laid down the lines of policy, which made it necessary that this fragment of past should be preserved, that one falsified, and the other rubbed out of existence. And the records department, after all, was itself only a single branch of the Ministry of Truth, whose primary job was not to reconstruct the past, but to supply the citizens of Oceania with newspapers, films, textbooks, telescreen programs, plays, novels, with every conceivable kind of information, instruction, or entertainment, from a statue to a slogan, from a lyrical poem to a biological treatise, and from a child's spelling book to a newspeak dictionary. And the ministry had not only to supply the multifarious needs of the party, but also to repeat the whole operation at a lower level for the benefit of the proletariat. There was a whole chain of separate departments dealing with proletarian literature, music, drama, and entertainment generally. Here were produced rubbishy newspapers containing almost nothing except sports, crime, and astrology, sensational 5-cent novelettes, films oozing with sex, and sentimental songs which were composed entirely by mechanical means on a special kind of kaleidoscope known as a versificator. There was even a whole subsection, pornosec, it was called in Newspeak, engaged in producing the lowest kind of pornography, which was sent out in sealed packets and which no party member other than those who worked on it was permitted to look at. Man, this just sounds like what's produced today. There's a machine that produces music, movies, films, shows, and a lot of times it's the same big conglomerate that has a music department, movie department, show department, streaming department, and all the other rest. And I will say there are some good shows coming out, um, but there is some rubbish coming out, and it's not to the point yet where certain groups of the population can only see certain things. But it's kind of like we self-segregate. Like I know people who watch reality shows all the time, and they never watch really even good shows. So it's kind of sad that we're doing to ourselves that you don't even have to have a big brother to force us into um, this kind of mindless activities. We're voluntarily doing it, but hopefully that will change. We'll see. Until next time, I thank you for your support. I want you to take care of your mind, take care of your body, and be safe.